Minds Elle Greenaway. She was born the 26th of June 1977. No location specified. Her father was also a police officer, just like Derek Morgan, Robert Greenaway, who was also shot and killed. Yeah. Her father had nicknamed her Peanut when she was a child growing up, but unfortunately, the last words that she ever said to her father were, "I hate you," because she was a child, and her father was running late to work, and he didn't have time to help her learn how to ride a bike, and as any child would, throw a fit, get upset, and say that they hate you even though that they don't mean it. So obviously she feels regret for that day. But working at the BAU as a profiler during that time, 2005, it was obviously very hard as being the only profiler woman, since the only women in the BAU were Elle Greenaway, Penelope Garcia, and Jennifer Giroux. Jennifer Giroux was in the media side of things, Penelope Garcia being the technical analyst, Elle Greenaway being a profiler, like Derek Morgan. But she specialized in sexual assault side of things. But since she was the only female profiler, she wasn't treated as an equal. It took some time for her to finally fully integrate herself. But by the time that she was finally one with the team, it's nearing the end of season 1, where you get the double episode of Big Case, and in this case it would be the Fisher King case. The Fisher King, he contacts the BAU in this really cryptic way with weird puzzles and asking if they can save her. And by her, he means his daughter, which he has locked up in the basement of his big house. But he wants to play a game with these people, with the FBI. And so he does this. But then he has these rules. He puts these rules in, and unfortunately the team breaks one of these rules. So when Elle is really sleep deprived and ordered to go home, somebody takes her home, blanking on his name, I'm gonna remember it later. He takes her home, but like her actual home, not realizing that when a case is as dangerous as this, he should have taken her to a safe house. He takes her to her actual home, where she then falls asleep, but in the comfort and safety of her own home, the Fisher King arrives, stabbing her. I heard that.
I'm hungry, bro. We just ate. What the hell? Never mind.
Edit
that out.
Tape.
Edit that out. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Obviously, I did it on purpose.
Yeah. What was the last thing I said? He stabs her, reaching into her wounds to use her blood to write a note on the wall saying, "You broke the rules, this is what happened. This is what happens when you break the rules." But it's a wound so deep that when the guy that took her home finally gets back to her after being told that she should have gone to a safe house, he gets her just in time for her to get an ambulance and be taken to the hospital. If I recall correctly, she does die in the ambulance, and then she's brought back. But while she's dying, you get the you get inside of her mind where it's showing you the weird interactions that she's having with her deceased father on the BAU jet, on the inside of the BAU jet, which is where they kind of finally reconcile, and we find out all this information about what happened to her in the past and how she feels so bad about the last things that she said, being "I hate you." But in this reconciliation, in her dying mind, they finally get to say "I love you" to each other, and then that's when she's brought back. So she survives, thankfully. But unfortunately, with something as horrible as that, she then has to deal with the trauma of that through season 2 of the show, which unfortunately she doesn't deal with very well because she refuses to talk to anybody, and also 2006 at this point, they weren't dealing with trauma this as well as they do later on in the seasons. But because of all this trauma she's not dealing with, she's not working well. Her work performance is going downhill because she's not doing well. And as a result of this, in one of the later cases where they're dealing with a serial rapist where this man finds women who have filled out forms to have a baby through, what's it called? Insemination?
Describe?
Well, like you have the woman.
Yeah.
But no man is involved in making the baby except for jerking it into a cup. Where that is being used. That is insemination, right?
That's so short for me.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah.
Insemination?
Artificial method, yeah.
Artificial insemination.
Donor insemination. Donor
Insemination. Okay. He finds these women who have filled out forms for donor insemination to have babies because they are single and they want a baby, and that's the only way they can have them. So they fill out these forms, but these forms are then sold to call centers for, is that called soliciting? Through or just telemarketers, like call centers for telemarketers, where they just sell useless things. This one man, he gets all these forms and he's like, he sees that they want a baby, so he goes to the addresses that are on the forms and assaults them in the middle of the night, hoping to impregnate them, since he thinks that he's doing them a favor. So in order to solve this case, they think it's a good idea to put Elle undercover, despite her still dealing with everything that happened to her with the Kingfisher case. She's put undercover alone in a house with a gun in a drawer, close as possible. And she's supposed to wait for the man to come inside and almost assault her. They were willing to let her be assaulted, hoping that they would get in there in time to stop it from happening and arrest the man. But unfortunately, with everything that happened to her, she freaks out and leaves the house, goes up to the man's car when he's finally outside of the house, just waiting for the opportune moment to attack. He goes up and confronts him, resulting in the case, the arrest not happening. So the man is then later set free. So when, after an argument about how he shouldn't be allowed free, and she's upset with the fact that he's set free, later then in the day, she finds him, confronts him once again, but instead of leaving it at that, she shoots him and then calls the police, and when they arrive, she claims self-defense, which is then taken as self-defense despite it not being self-defense. It was just murder. Even if it was the murder of a rapist. But then after that, she stops showing up to work and eventually dumps her cell phone and just vanishes from the BAU, giving in her resignation. And then she's not mentioned in the show again, nor is she seen, despite other characters later on having more mentions and other things.